Alright, so I understand is the lawful answer. Stop this lunacy, which is the choice I'm going with, is going to lead us down chaos and then ultimately to the neutral path that we're planning on for this playthrough.
Taking innocent lives.
This is what I picked the first time as well.
Your heart is pristine, though
Not realizing this was going to lead me down a chaos, quote-unquote chaos route.
All that is required of you is to plunge those hands deeper. Bloody
Also, I forgot to mention, I hate to talk over, say, Leonor, because he's giving good lines. But whatever you pick,
Denim!
Vice is going to pick the opposite of.
Vice,
so you pick the good
Vice?
chaos route, which means that Vice is going to become a villain now. And if
kill them, Vice, all three of them.
And you'll see it in his portrait.
What good are kinsmen who won't lift arms for our cause? I'll tell you, they're as good as dead. If it's retribution you fear, fear not. They'll all be in their graves, thanking you for martyring them.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. If this is a jest, it is in terrible humor.
Quiet, Casual. You've made a fool of me long enough. You remember that hare I snared in our leanest days, Casual? You gave it to your brother to eat without so much as a word of thanks. That hare was for you, but you made a fool of me.
He was attracted to her, I guess, and
you vex me. Always have.
Instead of taking his generosity as sort of like, ooh, I think I could like this guy. He's just like, nah, fuck you.
And you would carry it out?
Ravenous stands on the side of good, regardless of what you choose.
Before the Duke, before the realm.
You'd call such bloodshed service? Since when have we used our kinsmen's lives as leverage?
Great question.
Our lord has betrayed us all.
Yes.
To think I was willing to give my life for such a man. What a fool I was.
I did not think you want to abdicate duty.
So these two, Leonard and Ravenous, even though they are the closest
I break no faith.
knights to the Duke,
I renounce you all.
Go in opposite direction.
I always
Leonard
to find
insists
you at my
on
side
following the Duke's orders regardless of any
but if men of our own blood would stand against
misgivings,
us,
and Ravenous refuses to sacrifice anybody in the pursuit of a higher goal.
Stock. But the fault is mine. I should not have placed such faith in one of mingled blood.
So he's blaming her mixed heritage as being half Galgastani, half Wallister. For her betrayal here. So regardless of which you choose, you'll end up having to do a fight here.
To give shape to the peace we all want.
The difference is
Almorica and his rabble have trampled upon that peace and lifted their swords once again. We will not sit here and wait for death to visit us. We'll show them what it means to be Galgastani. Root out the Wallister in town and butcher them like the swine they are. Leave not one alive. To battle!
we'll leave a couple alive because you need them to tell your story, but whatever, right?
To the others. We take the town.
Wait! Leonor! Vice!
So...
Keel, Ravenous. You yap like the mongrel you are.
Leonor, do not think you can escape judgment for your deeds.
I don't know if Ravenous dies there, or if she dies later on in the story. But basically, the only way to recruit Ravenous is to make an enemy of hers, let her survive the next battle, which would be this battle, and then you can recruit her to your side down the road. In this case, because Vice is, we'll just say he's gone mad or he's evil or whatever, however you want to refer to him. He has turned his crossbow on Ravenous and I believe mortally wounds her there. So she does not, she either dies right there or in an upcoming cutscene in the next couple missions, I think. So, this, like I said, we're now on the chaos route, which can then branch into the neutral route. I don't think you can go lawful into neutral. I think you have, if you go lawful, you're 100% lawful. You go all the way to the end of the game, I mean, on the lawful route. Whereas if you go chaos, you can stay on the chaos route, or you can branch off in a later decision and go into sort of a more neutral route, which is what we're going to do, because there's one or two characters that if you do either lawful or chaos first and then neutral later, they'll basically bug out of your party because they don't like the neutral
Do not
path.
let them harm the villagers. We will defend them with our own lives should it come to that. Go!
So you run into a similar battle if you run lawful in this particular case. After that, obviously, the game vastly changes in terms of where the next couple levels are going to be. You know, you're not going to obviously be in the exact same spot in a lawful run as you would be in a chaos run. But in this case, this mission is similar. It's not 100% the same. Basically, when you choose law, it obviously means that you are going to slaughter your people. You've agreed to follow the Duke's orders, and you are going to be part of, or you're going to be in some way responsible for the slaughter, even if you don't physically take part in it, because it gets done during cutscenes. So is there a possibility that, you know, Denim was out there you know, splitting little kid throats? I don't know, maybe. Or he may have commanded his soldiers to do so, and in a way, you know, by proxy, you know, might as well have killed him himself, you know, through his orders. But where this really differs is because Ravenous stands opposed to this idea. She appears in this mission, and what you have to do is, I believe you have to kill everybody else on the field, and then she retreats after everybody else dies, because she's, like I said, the only one left. Though she might be like, whatever his name was, Benoff or whatever, or the Niobleth, the Necromancer, where after you do a certain percentage of damage, she'll retreat. And just, I would have to look it up to see exactly what the terms of battle are on that one. We'll be reading a character not in this mission, but either in the following mission or the mission after, where we are going to first have to defeat her, i.e. deal enough damage so that she retreats, and then later on, as we get closer to being able to recruit her, we'll have to do the opposite, where we have to keep her alive at a certain point instead of actually fighting her. So it's a little easier said than done, particularly if you play the PSP version, Let Us Cling Together, because archers are fucking broken in that game. In fact, once I recruited her in my original run, she ended up becoming like my MVP, where like, okay, great, we're running around with these you know, characters, you know, Voltaire's fighting, and my mages are healing, Donatello's doing his thing, etc., etc. But when it comes to taking out the boss, yeah, just power up that one or two archers you have on your team, particularly the one that got a unique portrait. She comes with a finishing move for the bow, called Dark Weight, I believe. And because archers are so fucking broken in that game, you would just power up till you got to her finishing move, and then just do 250 damage to knock out the boss and end the mission, instead of having to climb climb the pillars, climb the building, to get up to fight hand to hand. You just killed him from a distance, But that's a different game. This is a little bit better balanced, I think. I know that, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I believe the Valkyrie/Rune sensors were underpowered in that game, where they didn't, because they were sort of middle of the road and they didn't really do anything great. It was better to have a knight or warrior for physical damage, and have a healer for healing, or a white knight, that can defend and heal, and have your mages, and what I mean, instead of running a character like that, because they didn't do enough magic damage, they didn't do enough physical damage, they were squishy, a lot squishier than they are now, and so they were missing a couple, they're missing a little bit of a buff to make them viable. A lot of people will say that they think that the unfortunately tipped the balance in favor of the Ruin Fencer a little too much. I disagree. They're still very squishy, which I think is great for that class, where you give them an attack buff, but you only give them maybe a slight or barely noticeable buff to their resistance to defense. Enough so they stick around for an extra couple turns, but not a frontliner that you can reliably put in the front line and tank all hits, and just let people clean up behind you as you negate the damage, or lower, take a hit that would do, say, 50, 100, 200 damage to any other character, but because you're running a knight class, or you're running we'll meet other classes later on, you're a lot more buff, and you're not taking as much damage as you would you if you were in a different class, I guess. You can see the, well, probably not all of them yet, but a number of the people that are magic users that have been running cudgels up to this point have now leveled up their cudgel. Despite the fact that I'm not actually using the cudgel for attacking, they've leveled up, they've had the cudgel on them long enough that they've hit level 10 with it, which means that now they get the finishing move, which is actually pretty decent. So I know it unfortunately leeches off the same area. They don't have a separate stat like they did in Let Us Cling Together for the PSP. Where your magic is not linked to your, your final attack. They gave you like you have HP, MP, and you had something else like SP or something that is this third gauge that allowed you to basically gear up for your final attack. So you didn't have to necessarily decide whether you're going to use a MP for attacking, or if you're going to use the MP for magic, using healing, attacking, etc. But they do a fair amount of actual damage. Unlike you try to use cudgel and you just try to do a normal attack with a cudgel, you're gonna do like 1 or 2 damage depending on what level or what you call it class they're in. Whereas you use you use their final attack, you're doing 80 plus damage. I wouldn't say it's ridiculous, it's certainly not, but for a mage that's doing 1 or 2 damage, and you're telling me they're going to do 80 times or, 40 times the damage that they dealt normally is kind of ridiculous. I mean, you think about that in terms of like Denim here. Denim's doing 200 damage, and you're going to tell me that whenever he procs his final attack, he's going to do 80 times that amount of damage? I mean, I think you're breaking the damage barrier at that point in the game. I mean, I don't think you can do 1,000. I don't think you can do 1,000 damage in the game. You would definitely be destroying it, even if you only multiplied that by, say 5 times. Could be wrong though. I'm sort of shoot from the hip. I like to shoot from the hip. It is the I wouldn't necessarily say the big time advantage of, but it is a pretty big advantage for using knights. They got decent. Their attack isn't super great. They can't use the two-handed sword, but they're pretty decent. And then their defensive class, is basically designed to be a frontliner that negates damage. And then, of course, they're sort of a backup healer, even though they're not really designed for that. They still feel like the best of them, as they say. 140, healing white magic that's right there with your white mage, Except, of course, they are limited by what types of... Oops, that's fucked. Gotta stop doing that. They're limited on what higher level skills they can learn. So, obviously, like your Final Fantasy 1, where you can run a red mage that can learn a lot of early spells. They don't learn any of the later spells, the most powerful spells in the game. And much like the warrior and the ninja can run some of the strongest weapons in the game, like Excalibur and Masamune, they cannot. The red mage cannot run those. So your knight, pretty decent frontliner, can heal a little bit, but they won't have the same impact end game when your white mage, Alboon, Sybil character is running higher level heals that basically not only heal for a lot more HP, but also could probably do a AoE effect. So you get your couple of your characters near each other, and you're not only healing, say, Denim, but you're healing, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. Upwards of maybe 5 or more people if they're standing in a cross-shaped pattern. I know I mentioned Tactics Advanced. Never played the original Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm told that game is kind of interesting, where they give you a starter class, which is kind of like an apprentice or something. I don't know the actual name, but basically the sooner you can get out of the apprentice class, the better, because everything else dwarfs it. Whereas, like, you can run warrior most or all the games, or you can choose to upgrade them to a knight, or there are later classes as well that I won't mention off the top of my head. But you're definitely given at least 2 or 3 really good starting classes, whether it be the warrior, the ruined fencer, or the paladin, white knight. I mean, Berserker's pretty decent as well. You're not really gonna. I mean, once you have that once you pick a class out for a character, you don't necessarily need to finish off of it. There are certain exceptions to that rule, like Venom's Lord class is the best class in the game, but only he can have it, and it requires a certain session we'll talk about later. What else? There are sort of powered up versions of the mage class. I don't know what they're called off the top of my head. I think Geomancer is one of them. Lich and what's the other one called? There's a Lich, and then there is a Necromancer and Lich. Is that what I'm thinking of? Those are two different classes, I think. And or something like that. Anyways, those are more powerful versions of the magic class, so you're going to want to probably transition from a wizard to like a necromancer or a lich or a geomancer, whatever the more powerful mage class is. A couple different options, I know. I'm not sure if we're gonna get. I don't know if they give you in this game access to the Dark Knight class or not. There's a similar class called Paranite that we will get access to. But we'll see.